Check, check. Morning. Good morning, everyone. Oops, I gotta fix this bit. All right. All right. Check, check. How are we all doing? Good morning. Wednesday today. Greetings, Maddie, from Clyde, North Victoria. Love everything Medikey and your vision for the future. Keep up the great work. Thank you, my friend. I love your profile pic, Metro Man. Annie, good morning. 30 watching, 8 likes. Da Vinci. Da Vinci's in the house. Hey, Maddie, welcome. Practice and apply. Hey, what's good? The Medikey giveaway link. All right, guys. Today we're going to talk about the metaverse, right? Not so much the sort of macro view of the metaverse, but sort of what that means for us in the blockchain space. I'd love to go through some blockchain projects, such as some virtual land projects like Decentraland, the Sandbox, Treeverse. If you've known my work in the early years of the NFT industry, 2018, 2019, you would know that I was all about Decentraland. Decentraland was life for me for 2 years, so I kind of know it very, very well. And I'm going to put out a thread today regarding virtual land and how to get involved. It's getting a lot of attention. So love to talk about that a little bit with you guys before I put out a thread and a dedicated video. But Jerry says my portfolio is down. Let's freaking go. Yeah, 50% down. Your portfolio is 50% down. You're talking about NFTs. NFTs have definitely taken a bit of a beating for much of the NFT industry, that's for sure. Morning, Maddie. Amitabh Bachchan NFTs are on sale. Are you bidding? I didn't know that. Maybe I'll check it out. I'm not. No, not a. I mean, I've definitely watched his movies, but we'll take a look. I'm more into. So I'll tell you something about this, right? So let's just pop up. Amitabh Bachchan NFTs. Let's pop this up and take a look. Anyway, what about Ember Sword Land? Yeah, we can talk a little bit about that. I don't 100% know Ember Sword Land that well. I kind of know the OG ones better. Mostly because there's more volume there. So there is Ember Sword Land. But I will tell you sort of my sort of theory on how to invest. Ember Sword, you can see it didn't really catch too much attention, right? Over the last week or so, the metaverse or the virtual land projects have seen a lot of interest, and you can see what happened with the Sandbox. You can see with the Sandbox in the last couple of days, it's gone nuts. You can also see with Decentraland, looks like they don't have an activity graph, but you can see that even they are selling land a minimum of 12,000 USD now for a Decentraland land, which is insane. A good like 20, 30, 40 sales a day. So we can talk a bit about that. So we'll talk about all of it and what sort of drives value there, etc., etc. All right. All right. What do you expect the NFT volume back like we did see in August? Or when do you expect the NFT volume back like we did see in August this year or maybe next year in a bear market? I think what's going to happen is we're not going to see, and maybe we will eventually, but as new people get involved in the NFT industry, sort of they don't know what to do and how to invest in the NFT industry. So they put their money across multiple projects, whether those projects are low effort, mid effort, high effort. And that's sort of why the avatar industry boomed, because it was a new industry, kind of new. And no one really knew how to invest in it. So people were kind of throwing their money around. And that's sort of what led to that boom. Same thing happened with art, with Nifty Gateway at the start of this year. And now similar things happening with virtual land, although not as much, but it is happening where people are just throwing their money around in the coins and the land. But what happens for each of these things is that it stabilizes. People get more educated. They realize what are better investments, better products come onto the scene. And so the low effort ones start to stand out as to just not to touch. So when do we see another bull run? I think when the industry is quite well educated and the products are very good. So you got Artifact Studio obviously doing something very strong with Identity and 10,000 Avatar projects. So there's going to be a handful of projects that really stand out, and I think Also with Bitcoin going nuts, I think Bitcoin seems like it's on the verge of going crazy, or at least the altcoins are. So I think when that money or people's portfolios kind of 5, 10x maybe, they go from $100,000 to $1 million, they're going to start throwing that money around, and a lot of that would probably move into the NFT space. But I think those are some indicators. Just keeping watch at the moment. But if you have NFTs from projects that don't really stand out and are not doing much to really keep pushing and building, then I honestly doubt it will keep building. Emi in the house. What's up, man? Maddie, have you seen Frontier game? I haven't. What's up, Maddie? Joseph, what's up? What's up? Yo, Maddie, what do you think about the Potenza and Perseverance drop on nil? I haven't taken a look. Hicknowald. Maybe I will a bit later. All right, guys. Let's talk a little bit about some stuff that I've seen in the virtual space, in the virtual land space. Again, after a few tabs, we'll go through 3 to 4 tabs, and then we're talking virtual land. All right, so bear with me for about 15 minutes. Also, by the way, if you're not part of the giveaway, in the chat, there's a link pinned at the top of this chat, and if you go to it, you will find a link to our Discord, the MetaKey Discord, and in the MetaKey Discord, you've got this epic giveaway channel, which we give away stuff every single day. So today again, an Astro Friend, 28 minutes from now, someone will be chosen. So good luck to whoever wins that. All you got to do is click this emoji and you're in. All right. Alrighty. Nike files to trademark virtual goods, hiring metaverse designers. All right. The sports apparel and sneaker company filed 7 requests for trademarks and patents on their goods, ranging from footwear, clothing, and sports bags to art, toys, and accessories. Trademark virtual goods. All right, it's really interesting to me what that means. Companies, what they do is they come in and they trademark certain processes, they trademark certain ways to do things, so no one else can do it and gives them an edge because they figured it out first. Now, blockchain is kind of against this sort of thing. It allows anyone to build whatever they want, and trademarking certain ways the blockchain works is definitely a no-go. Trademarking your brand, obviously, of course, I mean, go for it, right? Your brand is your own thing. So let's kind of dive into what this means. I do know that 3 to 4 years ago, Nike definitely tried to do a trademark thing, and then pretty much got told to get stuffed by the NFT community like 2 to 3 years ago. So I wonder what they're doing now. Nike is looking to trademark its products virtual goods based in the US, according to an application filed with the US Patent and Trademark Office in late October. The sports apparel and sneaker company filed 7 requests for trademarks and patents on their goods, ranging from footwear, clothing, and sports bags to art, toys, and accessories. One of the sections identifies trademark protection as downloadable virtual goods, namely computer programs featuring footwear, clothing, headwear, eyewear, bags, sports bags, backpacks, blah, 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 blah. What does that mean? Identification 009, downloading virtual goods, namely computer program featuring footwear, clothing, retail store services, or identification. Retail store services featuring virtual goods, namely footwear, clothing, headwear, blah, 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 blah. What? Entertainment services, naming. I'm not sure if this is specific to Nike or this is a broader trademark. These requests hint at the possibility that the company is planning to either sell its products as virtual goods or non-fungible tokens, or is trying to protect its products from becoming NFTs. Right. The company's famous Just Do It slogan and swoosh logo were 2 of the handful of applications filed with the Patent and Trademark Office. Right. So it seems like they're just trying to protect their brand. All right. That's fair. But Nike getting into NFTs. What does this mean? Okay. Some of you guys have said, yo, that's good news for Luxo. I believe Luxo is doing digital commerce, the NFT scene, pairing that up with physical. I think we're going to see NFTs not only used in the digital world, but also the physical world. And what that means in the physical world hasn't really been explored too much. But I think definitely if Nike get into this space, or any physical merchandise companies, then I feel like they're definitely going to do collaborations with artists that are in the scene, right? So some of these artists will go on to do massive collabs with companies and brands, and those artists and their NFT art will probably go on to be worth a lot of money. And on that premise, I remember buying ferocious shoes. I'm not sure if you guys remember this. So we'll see if it plays out like this. This is just one of the ways I'm kind of uh, thinking it'll go down. But you can see Ferocious sold his digital shoes as NFTs. So this was the NFT. It was sold for 3,000 USD. It also came with a physical. So if you bought that, you could also redeem a physical shoe for free. Like that, right? These physical shoes. Here we go. This is hand painted actually. This one right here. And I think it would make sense that Ferocious or Artifact Studios or some other artist or brand will go on to do a collaboration with Nike, etc., bringing more value to these earlier ones, right? That was my long-term vision. I wonder if it'll keep going down that way. Alrighty. So Nike getting into NFTs. Nike is heading to the metaverse on October 27th. The Nike company filed new trademark application for Nike Just Do It and the swoosh logo. The filings indicate an intent to make and sell Nike branded virtual shoes and clothing. Yes. Does anyone else remember Second Life? This ain't the same though. This generation is ready for this technology and it's so much more advanced than it's back then. People still pushing buttons of the NFT community. I don't see what value Nike branded virtual shoes would offer over a small time craftsman. Apart from brand value, there would be nothing. Yeah, people just do not know the value of NFTs yet. I think, again, digital ownership is a very, very new concept. It can only really be explored by experience, less learning. So I mean, you can read as much as you want, but unless you've actually owned a Nike pair of shoes and sold it on the market, wore it on your avatar, gotten access with that Nike shoe to their shop and gotten discounts, all these things, you're just not going to know the value of an NFT. All right, let's keep going. The Sandbox. We're thrilled to announce the Sandbox game Series B of 93 million USD, led by SoftBank Vision Fund 2, the very first they do in crypto assets. Left by SoftBank Vision. Wow. Series B. How much did Sandbox raise for the Series A? Series A raise. How much did they raise for their Series A? I wonder. Not here. Maybe it was a private deal. But anyway, Sandbox, our friendly virtual metaverse project that is going on to build sort of a Minecraft land project on the blockchain, has gone on to raise 93 million USD. That's pretty insane. Now, Animoca Brands owns the company, and then you got Liberty City, Galaxy Interactive, which is a gaming fund, SoftBank Investment Advisors, and a bunch of different investors, right, coming in to invest in their equity. So what this means is they've invested $93 million in the equity of the company. And the equity is basically the sort of IP, the brand of the company. So let's kind of read what this means. The latest fund, oops. The latest fundraising came a little over a year after its last round, as the company saw fast growth in monthly active users and crossed 144 million USD transaction volume on the platform. It also marks Vision Fund 2's first investment in a company that issues its own cryptocurrency. The Sandbox, majority owned by blockchain gaming developer and Animoca Brands, allows players to build, monetize. Yes. It has announced partnerships with brands and celebrities, including rapper Snoop Dogg. Yes, the company declined to disclose its valuation, but the cryptocurrency it backs, the Sandbox coin, has a market cap of nearly $2 billion. The market cap of $2 billion, which means that they must have raised at a valuation more than $2 billion, because the company said it currently owns about 22% of the tokens. Yeah, I would assume that the company, the Sandbox, and the equity within raised way more than a $2 billion valuation. So it is pretty interesting. Maybe they raised it a $5 to $10 billion valuation. The price of the coin has jumped over 200% after Facebook announced it would change the name to Meta. All right. Cool. Let's keep reading. This investment round will help us scale up our growth strategy, operations, and player acquisition in the Sandbox ecosystem, while sending a clear statement that the world's most innovative fund believers believes in Web3 and decentralization. Adding the more strategic, the metaverse is placed, blah, 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 blah. I guess you guys are all familiar with how this works. With over 165 partners, including Snoop Dogg, Walking Dead, Smurfs, Deadmau5, Care Bears, and the MetaKey. How come we didn't get a mention? But you can see the MetaKey's in there. All right. So the interesting thing, and this is how some companies work, guys. What they do is they build a product, they introduce crypto, crypto reaches a valuation, they go raise money, and so crypto, like releasing a crypto coin into the world, is actually not that expensive, and it's not that time consuming. It doesn't take that long, right? Doing the legal work takes longer, but making a coin and putting it out there, putting a Maddie coin out there, can take 5 to 10 minutes. Then I can list it on Uniswap and people can trade Maddie coin and put some Ethereum to it, right? But these guys have done it, and they've built an amazing game and a project, and they've really gone on to build that project. And once they've released that coin, the coin really reaches the valuation, then they can go on and raise money on equity. So you can compare projects like these, and these are the sort of projects that I think have obvious longevity, right? When you talk about, Maddie, how do you invest in long-term NFT projects? I think the ones that are very, very well funded. And 3 years ago, the Sandbox, Decentraland, a few projects sort of stood out very, very well because not many were getting funding. Sandbox got funding back then, they're getting funding now. I mean, it just makes sense that they're going to continue to build an amazing platform that will have, that will be very well funded. And that with that money, with 93 million USD to help build the platform, I mean, they've got 10 years, let's say 5 years of splurging $20 million per annum to build the biggest platform, get the biggest artists to come in and run the biggest hackathons and build a lot of activity and noise on the Sandbox, right? So it would be an interesting idea to invest. Sandbox real estate used to sell for a couple $100. Now I think it's a minimum of a few thousand US dollars. Anyway, we'll keep talking. We'll get through valuations a little bit later. McDonald's releases an NFT. I present to you the most important NFT. Retweet for a chance to win one of 10 exclusive McRib NFTs. I present to you the most important NFT. All right. No purchase necessary. I don't know who wrote this. No purchase. 50 USDC, 18 plus only. Winners need crypto wallet to receive NFT. Rules. All right. Is that the global McDonald's? What is going on here? Well, so they're selling this for 50 USD a piece. And what does I get? McDonald's McRib social sweepstakes. No purchase is necessary to enter or win a prize. A purchase will not improve your chances of winning. Void where prohibited by law. A valid Twitter account and internet access are required to participate. Winners will need, within the time frame detailed below, a valid cryptocurrency wallet capable of transacting Ethereum. Yes. Sweepstake description. That's pretty lame. I don't know. I just think like a sweepstake use case of an NFT for a company like McDonald's, I think they can just do so much more. Who is eligible to enter to win? How to enter the sweepstakes. All right, that's cool. What do you win? 10 winners and up to 3 alternates for each prize will be selected in a random drawing from among all eligible entries receiving during the entry period conducted by an independent third party selected by a sponsor. All right, whoever wrote this, I don't know what's going on. Selected by sponsor. Winner notification. Prize approximately retail value. 10 prizes. Each winner subject to verification will receive a McRib themed NFT. As determined by sponsor. As of the start of the sweepstakes, each McRib NFT has an ARV of $20. I'm so confused. So you pay $50 to get in, and then you win a McRib NFT. There's only 10 to win. Is that right? Everyone thinks it's funny that you can just save this video from Twitter and say you own it, but when someone wins it and sues you, you won't be laughing anymore. Nerds really be like, yes, your honor, I'd like to present a case. No, I don't have the physical object. I'll be checking the transactions to make sure you really send these out. There will be no McRugging on my phone. That's a good one. A digital McRib. Yes, you should check out the NFTs on. Oh, here we go. Someone chilling Vive official. But yeah, a little bit confused exactly what this means, I mean, but fuck you. It's the end of the world as we know it. All right. Well, I actually can't tell what their plan is. Do they want everyone to no purchase necessary. 50 US 50 US slash DC. What does that mean? 50 US slash DC. 18 plus only. No purchase necessary. Okay, my bad. So they're not getting people to pay money to enter. I think anyone can enter and you win one of 10 limited edition McRibs. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. All right, everyone with a J in their name, your turn to hit the like. Hard to believe this is real life at times. It is, right? It is. Do you get the McRibs for life or something? Wouldn't that be amazing? Now that would be a use case for this. You get a McRibs for life. Every single day you can go in and get a McRib. Now that is what would bring value for an NFT token. You go in, you scan it, it's like, holy shit, this guy's got a McRib NFT. You give him a free McRib, or you get him a massive discount. You get a discount. Maybe you get a free Happy Meal, or you get a free meal of McDonald's twice a week, whatever it may be. But if they sell these cards and they have those sort of things and they continue to nurture that community, the value of this can go up, and it's just a fun way to gamify using blockchain the people that buy McDonald's. All right, that'll be pretty awesome if someone wins that. All right, so that's the rules. Keep going. McDonald's. All right, let's talk a bit about the metaverse, guys. All right, let's talk a little bit about virtual land, virtual world projects, what these mean. Now, the metaverse, again, guys, was more of a broader sort of blurry concept, a couple of years ago. And for us in the blockchain world, the metaverse, quote unquote, the metaverse meant virtual land projects. And at the time, there was a handful, right? There was only one or two. There was Decentraland, CryptoVoxels, Somnium Space, and the Sandbox. Now, with Mark Zuckerberg coming out and saying Meta is a new name for Facebook, and they're pretty much going all in on the metaverse concept, suddenly, you guys probably noticed coins like Mana went up 272% in the last 7 days. Coins like Sand went up 276%, going up to $3.20. What other coins are there that are doing virtual land things? Somnium Space, right? Somnium Space's cubes. Cubes also went up quite a lot. Oops. Cubes. Somnium Space cubes it's gone up another 97%. Last 24 hours. It's insane. Somnium Space has gone up. How much volume has it done? 18 million USD volume on Gemini. Right. Somnium Space has gone up in the last 7 days. 7 day. $5 to $25. That's a 5x. It's gone up 500% in the last 7 days. That's insane. Anyway, that's the coin. The coin goes nuts, then people be like, all right, well, what else? What do we do with this metaverse stuff? Some people dive in, and that's when you start to see activity like this, where you can see in the last 3 to 4 days, Sandbox land has seen immense volume. So 966 sales, 736 ETH volume. That's almost 1,000 Ethereum volume. So about 3 million USD over here in sales volume for the Sandbox. And people, wow, splurging on land. That's crazy. 2.1 Ethereum. 1 Ethereum, 1.2 Ethereum. 1.4, 1. So the land going for a minimum of 1 Ethereum. All right. So it kind of begs the question, how do you value this stuff? How do you value land? Why does it go up? Will it continue to go up, etc. like that? Now, there's a bunch of different things you got to consider, right? Yeah, Gemini weighed in. Yeah, Gemini went in. I reckon one of the reasons why Gemini did it is because no one had listed Cubes, and Cubes had it's another metaverse sort of project, sort of in VR, and it was easy for them to grab a bunch, list it. It was a low market cap as well at the time. What is the Sandbox floor right now? I think it's like 1 ETH or something. Let's take a look. Activity by now. 0.5. Floor is 0.5 ETH. How's it 0.5 ETH? Buy now. Why is that 0.5 ETH? That's so weird. Okay, maybe that's a glitch because you can see here the minimum price for land is 2,160 sand, which is 6,000 USD, which is like 1.4 Ethereum, I think 1.4 Ethereum. So it's like 1.4 across these lands. Okay, so these are some of my thoughts on virtual land. All right, first of all, you got your supply and demand, and one really easy way to look at this is by Treeverse. Treeverse has 10,400 items. Supply-wise, it's quite low compared to Decentraland and Sandbox. Decentraland and Sandbox has like 150,000 land pieces, right? So if the demand comes in, the supply is much less at Treeverse, and the price goes up higher. Also with Treeverse, there's no location as far as I know, in terms of if you get a land, it's not located in a specific place that is more better than another place. I think it's just your sort of area away that you can kind of build whatever you want on Treeverse. And if you're not familiar with Treeverse, let me just quickly pop it up so you can visually get a sense of what I'm talking about. Okay, it's the Treeverse. It's kind of like a virtual world where you can explore. It's pixel art, pixel animated. I'm a sucker for pixel animated. You can use your avatar to run around, walk around. They're doing these. They're selling anime avatars that you can use in the virtual land. If you scroll all the way down, some very early prototypes of the Treeverse, you can kind of see people hanging around, chatting. Keep going, keep going, keep going. All right. Maybe I should just Google this. Fine, let's Google it. Treeverse. All right, you can see some people hanging around talking. Looks super basic. Looks super basic. But it had people walking in, talking, and I think they had like hundreds of people at one point walking around, communicating with each other, etc., right? So they have this as a prototype, and then eventually you can see the sort of top video they have pinned here. It looks way different, so they're continuing to make it better. But that's Treeverse, and there's an open map in the middle that you can explore. Then you have your home here, which is your virtual land that you can deck out and take people to and trade NFTs and do whatever you want, right? And that's the sort of model that they've gone with, and they're selling 10,420. So if you look at the activity, you can kind of see how it's gone from 0.3 Ethereum to about 2.3 Ethereum. And because there's much less supply, if demand comes in and if we see another volume spike like this, then the prices should increase quite a lot because there's not many listed for sale. So for example, if I go to listed for sale, how do I do that? We delete this. And we click on buy now. There is 351 listed for sale. Now compare that. Now there's only 351 listed for sale, which means that if demand comes in and 100 or 200 are bought, then the price would go higher, because as you buy and buy and buy, as you buy from one, as these sort of get bought, as these floors get bought, you can see the price raises from 2.28, 2.43, 2.5, eventually hitting 3 Ethereum after say 40 or 50 are bought. Now compare this with something like Decentraland. Actually, let's go with the Sandbox. Compare this with something like the Sandbox, and you have something like they got 2,200 lands for sale. So a lot of volume needs to come in to buy this up, and even if 100 of these get bought, the price only goes up from 2,160 to well, Looks like no one else is listed in Sand, but you can see 1 Ethereum. It was 1 Ethereum up there. It's still 1 Ethereum. And there's a lot more influx of volume needed to push the price up. Okay. So on a supply demand basis, the amount of supply that there is, so some lands will, there might be a virtual world that comes out with, 1 million pieces of land. Now the land there would be harder to appreciate in volume as a floor price for it to go up, right? Now that's just the floor price, but virtual land has a completely different dynamic of many other projects. There's scarcity in different ways. So if you go to Decentraland, you can click on any of these virtual lands. You can click on the map, and you can kind of see the map as a whole. And if you go into the world, then you sort of know where everyone is. So you can see this is Ethereum project. You know that this is Vegas City. This one's called Festival Land, is Decentraland University. So land that's connected to roads, and you can see this gray area is a road. And when you go inside, you can walk up and down the road. But the land that's connected to land like this, connected directly to the road, that's a nice square estate, is more expensive than other projects, than land that's not connected to roads, right? So something like this should be much cheaper to buy than something like this. And then you got land that's connected to Center Genesis Plaza. So the more central the land goes, the more expensive it is. Sometimes even scarcity, right? So here's an interesting thing about scarcity. Even scarcity matters. This one in the corner right here was, you can't see it here, but it was, I think someone spent 150,000 mana to buy this corner parcel in the auction. So that was 2.5 years ago, 3 years ago, when mana was about 5 cents. Someone spent 150,000 mana on the land over here, whereas people spent 1,000 or 2,000 mana on everything else. 150,000 mana was spent on a corner parcel, right? Now, there's only like 3 corners. No, there's only 2 corners in all of Decentraland. There's this one right here, and there's this one right here, right? And I think that also went for about 150,000 mana. So because those sort of lands are scarce, you can see this, there's no corner parcel here because it's covered by a district. Same thing over there. But you can see how that there was a bidding war for it because people wanted that because it was what they thought it was scarce and it was like a cool rare one to have. Even though utility wise it did exactly the same thing. You got like people, so people are located in certain areas. Metacoven is located here, so land connected directly to Metacoven is a little bit more expensive than land that's not connected to Metacoven, etc. like that. So virtual land has its own pricing when you go in and you check it out. This is actually very easy to see in the Sandbox. So if you go to the Sandbox, let's open up the Sandbox map. All right, let's go to the map. All right, so the map and the value of land is definitely a lot more clearer to see. Where people might want to be right next to Whale Shark. People might want to be right next to CoinMarketCap for whatever reason. Galaxy Interactive, The Walking Dead. There's Atari's all over the place, so maybe people want to be close to Atari. So there is many reasons. So suddenly there's a different dynamic, and then you may be next to a place, and then someone might just suddenly pop up next to you and your land might boom. So it's got those sort of characteristics that are similar to the real world as well, right? So there's a bunch of different dynamics that go on with virtual land projects. Now, there's also, just because there's a new virtual land project doesn't mean it's highly investable. You also have to see and predict sort of how long it's going to take to build up to be a place like this. Because, the Sandbox took 3 years to slowly sell chunk by chunk by chunk their lands and have a map like this. And as they sold, the value proposition to be here got stronger and stronger. As you can see, everyone's pretty much got a land in the Sandbox. And eventually it became like kind of a necessity to be on the Sandbox land because of all the everyone was there, right? So a new virtual land project again, like it's taken 3 to 4 years to build this thing, so you can't even go into the sandbox yet to play the world. You can soon, but you can't yet. It's taken 3 to 4 years for them to sell all this stuff, get to a point like that, and we can't even get into the land yet. So maybe, you know, again, so when there's a new virtual world project, it takes a long time to build. So just be a bit careful for new virtual world projects that are saying, hey, you can go in there and buy land for whatever price you want, because it'll take them 2 to 3 years to build out their game. What determines a land to be premium? I know you talked about value, but there is this premium tag. I think it's speculation, right? It's all speculative if you think about it, because at the end of the day, these virtual worlds, they don't have any traffic right now. So it's very similar to like buying cryptocurrency in the early days. You're speculating that when the game opens, that there'll be enough utility and people will care enough to build next to you or buy next to you or buy your land because you've got it next to someone else. So let's just talk about this phase of virtual land on blockchain is all speculation. If you keep that in mind, the premium would be based on land next to companies that are heavily desired or estates of sizes that are hard to get. So anything that are scarce. So scarcity always runs. So for example, if someone wants to buy land next to, say a big company comes in and they want to spend a couple $1 million on land and they want it next to an iconic brand, right? So they want to be next to Atari, or they want to be next to Roller Coaster World. So you can see here that there is only about 2 to 3 big estates, 2 to 3 estates, one here, a few around here, one Roller Coaster Tycoon. There's a few estates with lands around them available, 3, 6, 9. I think there's like 100, maybe 3, 6, 9, 12, about 24 here, 24 here, 24 here, 24 here. It's about 100 lands that you can get around Roller Coaster Tycoon. There's about 100 lands that you can get around Atari. Maybe another 100 lands around this Atari and all that. So about 300 lands available. Out of that, I'd say 20% are listed for sale. So there's only, 50 or so listed for sale. So that's scarce, right? If people come in that only have that mindset, the scarcity there is about 50 to 60 lands that are for sale around that area. Now compare that with lands that are not connected to anything special. People just come in and there's thousands and thousands of lands that people want to get. So people can come in and buy that. There's many options to get. So that would not demand a premium. Whereas near Roller Coaster Tycoon and Atari, because they're scarce and next to brands, that would demand a premium, I would say, right? Also, estate sizes. So say people come in and they're looking for a 10 by 10. Right, they only want a 10 by 10, or say they want a 12 by 12. I don't think you can get 10 by 10. So maybe we'll talk about 12 by 12, 12 lands by 12 lands, which are these ones. You can see there's only like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, maybe like 40 in the whole world. There's only 40 in the whole world. So if someone wants a chunk that big, well, you gotta dish up a premium. You gotta pay that premium. So that's another way people have to pay the premium, right? And then you got the really big estates. There's not many of those ones. There's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26. There are about 30 premium large estates, which if a really big company comes in and says, hey, I want to buy 20, I want to buy a large estate, and none of these guys are selling, you can see actually no one's really selling a large estate. I don't think. This one being sold. No, this is an official Sandbox land. No one's selling a 24 by 24. Doge is for sale. No, it isn't. Metacoven has listed for sale. So you got to really convince someone. You got to have a private deal and buy it OTC. And I would assume like these would go for a lot of money now. I'm thinking like over 5 to 10 million US dollars to buy a large estate like that, right? So the more sort of scarce you go, the more desired it is, the more sort of categorically high tier it goes, and people in the larger tier have more money to spend. It sort of demands a more premium, right? Proximity is more about luxury than utility, since we are able to teleport anyway. Exactly, right? So it doesn't really matter where you're located, because in the virtual world, I mean, you're not going to walk from place to place. You're just going to click teleport button to go to where you want to go. Like, why would you walk spend 10 minutes walking from one side of the map to the other side when you can just teleport. So it's kind of like the dynamics are going to continue to evolve, and people right now are investing based on what they know best, and what we know best is based on real life. But what the reality is that we can teleport wherever we want. I think the most important bit would be to get eyeballs. So for example, if Atari, now one thing that you have to know about the Sandbox is, oh, that's pretty cool. It's got Snoop Dogg over here. One thing you got to know about the Sandbox is that if you buy land, you actually cannot see what's going on in the land next to you, right? They're separated instances. That's very different to virtual world like Decentraland or Somnium Space, where if you have land, you can actually look at your neighbor and see what he's doing. You can wave at him. You can see what he's building. If Atari sets up shop next to you and they have 1,000 followers every day going in there playing their games, you will get that foot traffic because they'll go and explore and see what's next to you, or they can look at and see your building. So you can put a big billboard and say, hey, Atari, we're doing a pre-sale soon, and they can all go check it out, right? Now with the Sandbox, it doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. There's separated instances. When you look over, you don't see who's next to you. You'll have to teleport to get to that side. So you got to keep that in mind. So that's one disadvantage of the Sandbox, and I think that's super important because people are buying stuff thinking, especially when it comes to neighboring lands. Now let's for a minute assume that you do see you do see your neighbors, right? You can see who's next to you. Let's assume that. Based on that assumption, another big value proposition is, yes, if Atari is set up next to you, then and you have a land next to Atari, and they go on to really serve their community and build a ton of games, and suddenly there's like, for some reason, there's tens of thousands of people rocking up to Atari every single day. And you're a game right next to them, and you're a great game studio. You can get so much traffic of the right demographic that way, right? In that sense, it makes total sense to buy land next to areas that are going to be very well built and very well highly. There's going to be lots of events, etc. So there's another that's the other dynamic. So land in terms of the location being very central or being scarce or whatever doesn't really matter because utility-wise it's all the same. But if it's near a location that gets a lot of traffic in the future, definitely it would mean a lot. No virtual world on blockchain is yet to crack, say, hundreds of thousands of visitors a day. When it starts to crack those numbers, hundreds of thousands of people checking out these lands a day, then I think we're going to get really, really crazy. It's going to get really exciting because suddenly people will start to advertise in the virtual world, right? Because people will go there, people will start to advertise in the virtual world. If they see a location that's hot and you have a land next to that location, you better believe someone can go in and say, hey man, I would want to lease your land for a year. And I'll pay you good money for it, because that what they can do is just put up some really cool experiences, entice people that are walking around, the tens of thousands of foot traffic coming through, and rent that and utilize that land. I need to finally get my butt on DCL or the Sandbox. Yeah, definitely just check it out. Whether you invest or not, it's up to you, but it is a good idea to go check it out. Now, land isn't the only thing you can invest in, guys. Another interesting concept of investing in the virtual world is this concept of all right, I'm lost. Marketplace land. This concept of other items. So you got wearables, you have names, right? You got names. Now these are also quite interesting. Wearables, if artists are coming in and selling art, selling wearables that are iconic, these also have some value. So for example, the first ever wearable that was released were these masks. There were these fox masks, and there was like these other types of masks. There were 6 different types of masks that you could have gotten. They were the first wearables in Decentraland. That has value because it's the first, right? Then there was a launch t-shirt that you could have got on 20th of February, and that was the day that Decentraland launched to public, and that came with t-shirts, and people went nuts and bought them. Certain artists come in and buy and build their own wearables. So can we search here? So can we go ferocious? So artists will go in and list and sell their own wearables. So if you want to represent wearables or art in a virtual world, you can do so by doing this. Just like how Twitter has millions of followers on it, and people like to buy a ferocious art piece and say, hey, I bought it, and they signal out to thousands of people. You will be able to do the same in the virtual world one day when you're buying, when you're wearing a ferocious hat or an earring or whatever these are, and you walk into clubs and you walk into environments and people are like, oh shit, this guy's got a ferocious thing. These recognizable wearables will have value. Another way to invest in wearables, they've got their own sort of supply and demand dynamics. Another interesting thing, super interesting thing, I think, is names, right? Names are really interesting because you can only have one name per person. It's just like a domain name, right? There's only one google.com. You can't have multiple google.coms. Just like that, there's only one Zara. There's only one Christie Inc. There's only one Vivi, right? There's only one John. There's only one John Wick. There's only one Satoshi Nakamoto. You can imagine these names, if these virtual worlds become extremely popular, the names will start to get heavily desired because people want to be like, oh wow, this guy's got the actual name Zara, not Zara 179235, right? So this is similar to what happened for this is what happened with RuneScape. I'm not sure if you guys played RuneScape, but RuneScape has that kind of name market, right? People buy and sell names. Look at this. RuneScape name sales. Name request thread. Look at this. There's a thread here with 127 pages of people requesting names for sale. Willing to overpay for the following: Bold, Elite, Master King, Hero, Chemical, Universe, Galaxy, Divine, Thomas, blah blah blah. There's millions of names that have been minted, or not minted, have been registered with RuneScape. Now let's kind of see LF. What does that mean? LF. Looking for. Maybe it means looking for. All right. Buying the rarest names. Who's selling? Looking for the name Jack. Looking for Koi. Will pay massively. Sadness. Who's selling though? Like, can we see someone who's selling names? Okay. So there's no names here that have been, that no one's really put a highest RuneScape name sales. So how do we see actual sales of the names? Dreambot, maybe this will tell us. Selling the name Hulks. All right, so this guy's selling the name Hulks. Does he say how much he's selling it for? No. I don't even know the price. Selling name Pet, please. B for bump. Yeah. I don't know what these are worth. All I know is if you go to Twitter and you go to name DCL name bot. I think there's a name bot. Oh, here we go. DCL name bot. Name bot. Central and name. Here we go. Name claim. So you can see people claiming names. So they're spending 100 mana, $304 just to claim a name. And claiming a name is free. Sorry, not free, but you can claim names that have not been claimed yet, but you have to spend a minimum of 100 mana. So people are spending $300 to just claim a name. What about name sales bots? So name, Decentraland, name sales bot. Name sales bot. Decentraland name. There we go. Maybe this guy. Top 10 name sales as of 6th of the 29th. 20th, Kanye West sold for 100,000 mana. Crypto 61,500, Moon 50,000 mana. This was back in the day, so this back then mana wasn't what it is now. So this was probably being like a $10,000 sale, etc. But you can see how they have value, right? So these are people minting names. Captain Moonshot was purchased for 0.04 Ethereum, 0.0202, etc., etc. But as more and more people flood Decentraland, and if Decentraland was to ever have millions of people frequent it, then I would think names would go on to have value because people would recognize names and say, wow, this person has so-and-so name. And so I bought a bunch of early names. I've got Satoshi Nakamoto, believe it or not. I've got Neo. I have a bunch of names. I've got Mario and all these sort of iconic names, Zelda, etc. And I don't know, I just like kind of flipping into those names every now and then because it's cool, right? When there's thousands of people in the world, it's like cool to have a good name. So with these events that are happening, and Decentraland saw the Dead Mouse event, the Metaverse Festival, I think it had 5 to 8,000 people a day that showed up. But eventually, when there's 10 to 20, maybe 50,000 people a day showing up to these events, these virtual events, then it's really going to matter having these names. Now, I don't know if the other ones have names. I know Decentraland does because they use DCL ENS. So it's an ENS subdomain. I think it's like DCL.ENS or .eth or something, right? So that's quite interesting, right? It's interesting to see how you can invest across this space. I would advise to go check it out. Check out virtual worlds and how to invest. Take a long time to kind of get your, maybe take a month to really understand them, because understanding the Sandbox and Decentraland, etc., will allow you to quickly understand what the next world will do, as opposed to starting from scratch. So you will know, wait a second, if there's names to be minted and no one's really claimed those names and you think it's going to be a big deal, you can rush over and mint those names. So just use what we have right now to understand and learn about what we have coming up. All right. Who won? So NFT Cloud won an Astro friend. Congrats to you. We'll reach out. All right, guys, we're gonna cut this one early. It's 9:53 a.m. I have a meeting to rush off to and prepare for, but I'm gonna make a dedicated virtual world video today, hopefully, and a thread to go with it. Just because I think this space has to really be explored now, with what's going on. So anyway, guys, take care. We'll speak soon, but tomorrow, I'm going to do a virtual land thing, and we'll talk about some Q&A on top of that. I think there's a lot of virtual land sort of investing videos that we need to cover, right? All right. Awesome. Let's catch up tomorrow. Same time, guys. Hope you guys learned a lot with this one, but we will catch up tomorrow. I'm seeing you guys ask a lot of questions. Again, I'm really sorry I can't answer them. I have to run, but we'll catch up tomorrow. Take care, guys. We'll speak.